Hey guys, Atticus James here. Today we are talking about my air system for my new workshop. I've been here about 3 months now and I've been having a real difficult time dealing with my air. As you can see here, I have my air compressor where I can just kind of wheel it around, so when I'm working on something like the trailer, I have to go and move it around. So I went and I purchased a 100-foot reelable hose on Amazon. I wanted something that was going to be real nice for my workshop, something that was going to last a long time, and I figured I might as well look at something like what Discount Tire uses, and this is the type of reel that they use. It may not be the same brand, but it's definitely the same type. It is a very heavy unit, so when you're going to be using it for a long time, it's not going to break and fall apart due to sun or temperature, because it's an all-metal construction. Now, my other issue is that I want to run my air compressor down at the other end, which is about 50 feet away from this line. And I don't always want to have to use this air hose if I'm working out of that door. So I went and purchased this RapidAir home garage kit from Amazon for about 78 bucks. And it comes with most of the parts that I'm going to use in this project. Now, had I done a little bit better planning, I could have purchased everything at the same time if I had really drawn everything out, but I didn't expect for one of my tees. The problem with this kit is that it doesn't come with any tees whatsoever. So you need to have T-valves when you have a line dropping down. So if I wanted to put a box here and then continue that line down, I have to have a T so it drops down and continues on, coming this way and then continuing on. And I'm going to have 2 T's at this end, or here in the middle. So I ordered one with the kit, and then now I'm having to purchase another one, so I'm having to wait a couple of days before I can actually install it, but as soon as we start installing it, I'm going to bring you guys right back. Okay, so now we're back here. I finally got my second T in. So let's kind of talk about exactly how I'm going to run this air system. So on that end, I'm going to have my air compressor, and on this end, I have my air hose, the long extension. And since RapidAir sends out with this home kit manifolds, you have these, which are your drop down with a little drain on the bottom, and then you've got your quick connects, and your hose just pushes right in. They're simple and easy to make. They don't come pre-built, so that way that if you want to go and have this running into the ceiling, you can have the air hose coming straight down, or you have a lot of options as to exactly how you want to set this up. So they don't want to pre-build them for you, so that way that you have the opportunity to make it how you want it. So let's talk about what came in the box. First off, we had 3 of these milled aluminum manifolds. You have the main air manifold, and that is this one. Now, I am doing mine a little bit different, as I know that a little bit later on I'm going to want to change out exactly how I run my air hoses and how I run my air compressor and the air compressor that I use. So the way that I set it up is that I wanted to have a quick connect on the bottom of this. That way that the manifold stays in place, but I can go and get a bigger air tank, or I can have my air tank serviced or anything, and I don't have to worry about fumbling and making sure that I don't worry about my leaks. I have a small hose that I've had for years. This is already tested for leaks, and then everything that I have on here has been taped up. This will start off on the end, so I'll have connections down at the air compressor where I can hook in for air if I need it down at that end, and then the air will come straight up. I will make an elbow and just run it straight down the line. Then we're going to come to a T, and that will go to a drop down, which will drop to this manifold, which will allow me in the middle of my workshop to have air, which I don't expect that I'm going to be using a ton as I have that air hose, but it affords me the ability to use it. Finally, we're going to come down to this spot right here, where I'm going to have my third and final manifold mounted to the wall with a T, because I have it set up so that way that my air hose at that end is already set up with the connectors for the RapidAir into the air hose. I did have to buy 3 items. I had to buy 2 reducers and 1 brass reducing coupler. These are brass pipe bushings, and the reason that I had to do that is so that way that when you go into the manifold here at this end, I have to have a reducer because it's not set up to be at the 1/4 inch size for your air hoses. You have to have a reducer. I also have to have a reducer on my main air hose because it doesn't connect in. And finally, I had to have one more piece, and that is the reducer here, and that's so that I have air right here. Since this is 2 large holes, this manifold is not really designed for what we're using it for. It was originally designed so that you could put the air compressor in the middle of the room and then have your lines running off instead of having to use T's. However, I like my T's because it means that my air compressor stays at the far end, and while I'm working at this end, if my air compressor is going on, I can still talk. Why don't we jump into actually installing all of this? We're going to start off at the air hose side and we'll work our way back. So like I said, we're going to start off here at the hose reel side. We're going to easily connect in with the supplied adapter for this system. If you need more, you can always go on Amazon and purchase more of these. I'll have a link in the description with all of the parts that I used, so you can buy this system for what you need. Also add in a few more links of the different products that they offer, so that way that if you need more elbows or other parts, you can go and find them all in the link in the below. Now, they do also send out this cutter, which is really nice because you just put your hose in and you clamp it down and turn it around and it will cut your hose, making it super easy for you to work with. You don't have to have your box cutter with a sharp knife and fiddling with all of that. This makes it real quick and easy. Now, these are quick connects, which means all we have to do is push it in, and we're locked in place. Now, if I ever need to go and remove this, I can simply pull down on this tab, and it comes right out. So simple, so easy to do. But if you try to pull it apart, it's not going to. It has teeth in it that lock it down. Now, one thing that I didn't mention, and I will be doing this a little bit later on, is connecting this. How I will run my hose. I did go and get some brackets from Home Depot. They're really simple. I bought 2 packets of 20 so that way that I can run the entire length and my hose line looks nice and clean. Let's go and tack up one and I'll show you what I'm talking about. These are the connectors that I'm using. I got the right size for this hose so that way that I don't have a lot of play in there. I also went with plastic so that way that if there's any movement in the hose, it's not going to wear a hole in the hose by using a metal clamp. Alright, so now we have dropped it to our first angle. We're going to drop it down, and then we're going to run our T here, so that way that I'll run 4 inches of hose to where exactly I want it, and then the air will continue down. I want it to run right underneath this 2x4. So I need to cut exactly where I want it. Nice thing is that it all clips in. It makes it very fast work of what we're doing. Now, instead of going and hooking up all the boxes right now, I'm just going to run all of my hose. That way that all of my big work is finished, and then I can come back and do all of my short, minute finishes of fine-tuning exactly where I want everything. Now, each one of these T's as well as the elbows, they have holes in them so that way that you can tack them in place with nails, which is really nice because it means that you are putting the pressure here and not pulling it on the hose. I'm not going to do that until after I'm all set up because I've got slack in my line. So I will find out exactly where I want everything, and then I will go and tack it all down fully. Again, we still have plenty of hose with this. This is a 100-foot setup. We are only using about 60 feet of this for this entire workshop. So after plotting this out for a minute, we figured out that this hose is not going to be long enough. Now thankfully, the hose that 100-foot hose replaces is not one that I really like to use. It got damaged, so I had to cut an end, and I've had issues with it ever since. Now, this hose is a nice hose, and all of the connections are the right size for that end as well, for that hose as well. So we're just going to go and create a new hose and call it a day. Make it simple and easy instead of having to go and try and figure out why or how to go and make this not clamp up like it did. So on these manifolds, we've got holes that are pre-drilled in here, which are perfect for the size of drywall screws. So you can tack them in real easy and mount them where you want them. Now as you can see, we've finished it off. We've terminated here. This is where our manifold starts. This is where our air hose is going to start. So I already have my down hose running to the air compressor, which is sitting right behind me. And now I'm going to go and start running all my short hoses. Why don't we jump over into that? Now, this hose really only matters as to what you want it. But I do recommend that before you go and start fitting everything, that before you screw this in, that you find that that's the exact spot that you want it. Because if it's too low or too high, you don't want to be tugging on this. You want to have a little bit of slack. Not a ton, but just enough slack in here that you're not going to be putting pressure and making a point to blow at. Alright, now I've got my third manifold set up. I have what should be a complete air system. Now we're going to go and plug it in and see if we can find any leaks. Now the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to take a spray bottle with a little bit of soap. You don't need a lot, you need more water than soap. We're just trying to find out if any bubbles appear. I just have a basic spray bottle here, and I'm going to just spray it on every connection and see if I have any leaks. Now, this may not bother you, but as this is going to be down near where my bedroom actually is, because this wall goes into my house, I want to make sure that everything is all tight. So that way that as I'm sleeping, the air compressor doesn't go off in the middle of the night and scare the living bejesus out of me. So, let's go and test that, shall we? So, in testing, you can see air bubbles appearing. What this means is that I need to replace this end. So now I've replaced this end, and I'm not hearing any leaks. However, I do want to still go and check all of them, but at this point, I think we can call this job successful. I'm Atticus James with atticusjames.com. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Again, if you guys want this setup, I will post all of the products in the link below with all of the reducers and all of the connectors. That way that you can build this system for yourself. Until then, I'll catch up with you next time. Bye.